Okay. Uh-huh. Recordings, you take the recordings and you watch them. You ask Ankit sir, he will provide you the details. Ankit sir. Hmm. He will help you. Okay. Now, how is your health? Okay. Ashoka's Dhamma. This topic is not only important in Mauryan history, again, like administration, this is going to help us in throughout history optional papers, both paper 1 and paper 2 also, and in ethics also, wherever you want to use. To understand Ashoka Dhamma, in which context he propagated this, there are at least three incidents in our history that similar type of policy is followed up to now, if we consider till today. I will try to draw three figures, three India maps. You will have some idea. Okay. This one, 1950. In 1950, this is the Indian map, what we got inherited from the British Empire. They divided. For this land, we followed a constitution. And this constitution is equal to every single individual. There are no two different constitutions for two different set of people. Whether you are living in this part, in this part, in this part, everywhere, same constitution applies. And the principles applies to everyone equally. This one, by this time period, now we are in 1950, 20th century. By this time we have Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism. Then if we come in the order, other unorthodox sects. Then if we come to the first century, is it visible? If we come to first century, that means Christianity. Then by medieval time period, Islam emerged. And here we have already Zoroastrianism. And we have Jews also. So many religions by 1950. That's why, and also just before 1950, we got divided into two countries. This is also Pakistan only. Till 1971, this is Pakistan only. West Pakistan, East Pakistan. Based on this ideology, our subcontinent was divided. And immediately after that, we followed equal constitution, no religion. Our state is not giving preference to any particular religion. Now come back to this side. 1570s or 1580s. Who is the ruler? Mughal ruler. Who is ruling at this point of time? Akbar? Yes. Akbar. Now at this point of time also, now you say this. This will help us to give an idea how Ashoka Dhamma is why that much important. Now you see this, when we are preparing constitution in 1950, we have the reference of entire history, that what has already happened in the history past, and also we have the reference of other countries also. And we understood that if this constitution is not open for all, these kind of divisions once again may take place. Again, Indian subcontinent will divide into many kingdoms or many. Already at this point of time, do you remember in 1947, so many princely states were also there. More than 560 princely states. So that was the context. But at least we have some idea that what has happened before 1950 if we are not equal. In French something happened, in America something happened, in other countries something happened. In 1570, whatever happened after 1570s, he don't know. But he also has some kind of reference what has happened earlier. At this point of time, Mughal Empire. And Mughal Empire is also up to Akbar time period. Akbar was ruling 1605. Even at this point of time also, Mughal Empire was somewhere up to here. Because he reached up to Madhya Pradesh and this part also, Kandahar province also, and this northern part was under Akbar. He also followed Sulhai-Kul policy. And this also, this is open to all. Hmm.
Few years before his death, and he has ruled for so many years, from 13 years of age he had ruled. So how can you say that Sulhai-Kul is the only principle he followed?
Sulhai-Kul is a kind of policy.
Because he founded Sulhai-Kul in his later years, sir. What about his prime years when he was?
Okay, in the beginning stage, he don't have.
Beginning to formation of Sulhai-Kul, sir. And so also Sulhai-Kul wasn't accepted by everyone.
True. You might be talking about Dini Ilahi. There is another concept. This is the policy. And whatever you are talking about, that is the Dinai Ilahi. This is the kind principles, religious principles which So whatever you are talking about, this one, Dina Ilahi, that is particularly religious principles. He tried to bring all the good elements and he started this. But Sulhai-Kul is the state policy. Dini Ilahi is the religious policy. This is open to all. This Sulhai-Kul policy and manifested in multiple ways. One of the manifestation is Dini Ilahi also. One of the manifestation is good relations with Rajputs. One of the manifestation is abolition of the jizya tax. One of the manifestation is discussions with all types of religions. And during this time period also, we have Islam, Portuguese also by this time came, Christianity, Zoroastrianism. Akbar used to bring all the religious heads from Zoroastrianism also, Islam also, Christianity also. And already Hindus are there. Whatever they are there, Buddhist by this time declined, Jainas and other unorthodox sects, Sufi, in Islam also Sufism is there, in Hinduism also Bhakti movement is there. If we consider main religions in this format, they are there. And he also has some reference to follow. And he also understood that if we are not open to all, again, his empire will disintegrate. And he has many issues to consider, and he don't want religion is one of the issues which will create problem for his empire. Again, at least he has some reference what has happened earlier also. And Sulhai-Kul policy also manifested that he opened the administration to every sort of people. Many Hindus are also raised into the administration, like Man Singh was there, Birbal was there, Todarmal was there. Hindus were there, and at the same time he encouraged Islam, Christianity, Zoroastrianism, all sorts. In his own house, Christian missionaries were roaming freely in the fort. So that is the kind of openness he followed. So one of the teachers to his children also from Christian leaders. So that shows again openness. This set an example for the rest of the period. And also now this is setting an example. Now also we are still following, even after 75 years or so, more or less we are stable. And this stability is coming because of this only. Now you imagine, in 1947, we also got independence, Pakistan also got independence. But within 20 years, 25 years, Pakistan divided. In Sri Lanka, same, based on language, for so many years, civil war took place, LTTE. That is based on one of the main causes is the language issue. Northern part Tamil is dominating, southern part is Sinhalese. And when Sinhalese wanted to be imposed on every section of the people, then it created trouble. And even in India also, Hindi for some time created trouble. In 1960s, when some leaders tried to give some statements that Hindi is going to be the every part should follow Hindi, then some agitations emerged here. But again, constitutionally, we solved the problem. And we created linguistic states reorganization also. It's all happening because of this open constitution. And even after 75 years also, we are maintaining integrity intact. So this is one of the greatest documents of the human history itself. And meanwhile, many other countries, Yugoslavia, divided into multiple pieces. South Sudan, North Sudan. You will see many examples, those who got independence at the same time period. Now come to 3rd century BC. Now these people, we are having some reference. Akbar also has some reference, but Ashoka didn't have any reference. That is why, for the first time in history, he must be a very visionary, and why he is so important for our Indian history. That is why whatever his policies taken, that became inspiration for after post-independent India also. His 4 lines became India's emblem. His Ashoka Chakra, we call the chakra, is part of our national flag. And whatever Dhamma he is following, we incorporated his spirit in our constitution. So that is the greatness of this particular time period. So when you don't have any reference before you, and if you are innovative, and if that sustains for so many years, then that is a very big achievement. And now you see, Akbar empire is this much. But when it comes to Ashoka, this much. Pataliputra. By this time, now Islam not there, Christianity not there. We are in 3rd century BCE. Christianity come after 1st century AD, Islam came after 7th century AD. Now here, Hindu, Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivika. Any other? Ajivika particularly important because Mauryans donated some of the caves to Ajivaka sect. That means Ajivaka sect might be very popular at this point of time. And when it comes to here, Zoroastrianism, because we are close to Iran, this side. And on top of it, this area is also has the settlements of Greek gods. They were also there. And Greek gods were there, Zoroastrianism. Now you need to see, on top of it, we are only seeing the only major religions of this time. There are some people, we are giving one particular simple line like tribal. When it comes to tribal ideas, there are so many customs, so many, their religious ideas are very different. So it is like before the emergence of Aryan culture, non-Aryan world, you can simply say non-Aryan world. So many like Neolithic people or Chalcolithic people or megalithic people, different aspects they followed. Similarly, we can categorize all of them into tribal. These are the mainstream religions, on top of it tribal. And in tribal, different tribals have different customs. Here also, same is the case. Here also, same is the case. Which did not fit in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivika, and other religion. They were also part of He were also part of the subjects, or we are calling citizen, subjects. Under this context, following some kind of open policy is biggest achievement of 3rd century BCE. In our Indian history, no one is there before him who he can take inspiration.
Chandragupta Maurya's Chandra's Arthashastra was there. That's why he could take help from there also.
Could be, but a real monarch who propagated, and Chandragupta Maurya also, actually that is why Mauryan policy itself open. Chandragupta Maurya also open to all. Chandragupta, his minister Kautilya is Brahman, and he followed Jainism at the end of his life, and that's why he is also open to every religion. Bindusara, we don't know exactly, but he also might be very open. And now, because at least we don't have any reference of his negative qualities also. That's why we can assume that he also must be open. And when it comes to Ashoka, we have so much reference. And by this time, Ashoka time, this is the empire, very big empire. Chandragupta, small kingdom. And Bindusara expanded. And by Ashoka, this much empire. So in this part, handling this much big empire with this openness is a very challenging also, and also because at this point of time only despotism is the only principle.
Ashoka's empire expands so much. The only one who fought was Kalinga, and after that he did not fight any war. So how will this empire expanded so much?
We have to assume that Bindusara expanded his territory. So there are references. Yes, Tarun. Barabar Nagarjuni caves. Bindusara became an Ajivika monk. When it comes to Bindusara, we don't have much reference like Ashoka or Chandragupta Maurya. We have Tibetan Buddhist monk Taranada. He has written one account about the Bindusara, and in that account, Bindusara ruled land between two seas. So land between two seas means then this side Arabian, this side Bay of Bengal must be part of his empire. But we don't know how he conquered, with what rulers he fought. Those details we don't know. At least for Samudragupta, we have so many wars and battles, and his eulogy was there. But for Bindusara, we don't have that reference. That is why whether how Chandragupta Maurya expanded, we have some references. In northwestern part of India, he fought with Seleucus Nicator. And when it comes to Ashoka, we have Kalinga reference. But when it comes to Bindusara, we don't have much accounts. So that is why by Ashoka time period, and also how do we know that Ashoka is ruling this much empire? Because his edicts were there here also, here also, here also, and some of the Mauryan inscriptions are there here also. Based on that, we are coming to the conclusion that this might be the extent of his empire. Everyone contributed for the progress of the empire, but Ashoka particularly followed this policy called Dhamma. And when it comes to Chandragupta Maurya, he was following the Kautilya Ardhashastra. And Bindusara also, for some time period, Ardhashastra or Kautilya was the minister even during Bindusara also. And later he was replaced by other person. And by Ashoka time period, he followed his own ideals. He could have followed Ardhashastra also, he followed Ardhashastra also, he followed other religions also, and he created his own Dhamma. We are calling it as Dhamma. Please note down this. Now, in this context, we have to see why it is important. Please note down this. Draw all the three. After that, we will exclusively focus on what are the elements of Ashoka's Dhamma. Sanju, Tarun, Kanchan, all right up to here? Any doubts you have? Okay, good. Please note down. This one.
So last two is at the present day Parsis.
Present day Parsis. Parsi, the term come from Parisian.
Sir, the Tibetan want to go about people, sir, about the
His name is Taranada. And do you know Taranada has written this in which century? 16th century. That means during Akbar time period he was taking 16th century. 16th century he belongs to. Not during his time period. Because reconstructing our ancient past is very, very difficult part. So now you see how. And in fact, our history has completely forgotten Ashoka also. And how do we know Ashoka? There was only person called Devanampiya or Priyadarshi. We don't know whether that Priyadarshi is Ashoka or someone else. Only when James Prinsep discovered or deciphered Brahmi script in which year? Any idea around? Online students? James Prinsep?
1800s.
Yes, 1800s. Now you see, till 19th century, and these inscriptions also we were not able to decipher. That means only in 19th century we came to know about this, the greatness of Ashoka. And this also you can give an example how important archaeological sources. Without archaeology, Ashoka will remain hidden in the history. Yes, Tarun. Ranyo, Ashok, Kanganahalli. So gradually, when archaeology became more and more active, we are able to get more and more evidences. Yes, very good, Sanju. 1837, James Prinsep, he deciphered Brahmi script. Yes, in few minor rock edicts, Ashoka name is mentioned.
Mostly was known as Dev Dhammapriya or.
But he is only, we know, through his titles. Because in his edicts, 14 major rock edicts are there, he used to mention himself the beloved of the gods. Priyadarshi. Beautiful. Devanampiya. Devanampiya means beloved to the gods. Priyadarshi. And only with that particular title only he was being referred. Only in some few minor rock inscriptions like Musky, Ashoka name came. By comparing these inscriptions, minor, major, and Sri Lankan Buddhist texts, all come to the conclusion that he was Ashoka only.
So means 41 major of edicts, how many minor ones found in this lower period?
There is no exact particular number because different accounts are giving different number. But at least we have 14 major rock edicts, 3 minor rock edicts, and 7 pillar edicts. At least. And if we get some other evidence, this number may change. 14 major rock edicts, 3 minor rock, and 7 pillar edicts. And the problem is, suppose 14 major rock edicts we are talking, that means there is a major rock. On major rock, there are 14 points. These 14 points we are calling 14 major rock edicts. And you can compare these major rock edicts equivalent to the articles of Indian Constitution. These are like 14 articles. But the problem is, in so many places, suppose like in 10 places we got these major rocks. But all the 10 places did not contain all the 14 major rock edicts. In different places, only few major rock edicts, and in some other places, it got erased also. So that problem was there because surviving these many years also a difficult challenge. That is why after comparing all the parts, then finally it's like there are 14 major rock edicts, 3 minor rock edicts, and 7 pillar edicts. Now we will go to the next point. All of you written, online students? Shall I go to the next slide? All right. Now you give one more map. In this, we will show in which locations pillar edicts are there, in which locations major rock edicts are there. India map. We know about Ashoka's Dhamma from Ashokan inscriptions. distribution of, these are some of the some of them are, these are major. Do you want major rock edits list? That is prelims point of view, it's need not to worry. Just you can give like inscriptions. Here we are mentioning, for example, Musky, Nittur, Udegolam, minor rock, Gujar, minor rock, and Dhauli Jogada, major rock edits. And these are major rock edits. Major rock edits. And one more observation is, all major rock edits are there near the boundaries. Eastern boundary, western boundary, northwest boundary, and here also we have. There's a place called Erragudi. Major rock edit. So you see the boundaries, major rocks. The term edicts means royal inscriptions. Inscription, anything which is written on the hard surface. Particularly we can also call Ashoka inscriptions, and we can also call Ashokan edicts. Difference is, the inscription is general term. Even on the caves of Buddhist caves, some merchants also inscribed. That is also an inscription. Particularly if king gives that inscription for this particular political purpose, that becomes edict. Yes, royal order. That's why we compare this edict with the constitution article. These are like instructions that every subject has to follow it. And when it comes to types, minor rock edicts, major rock edict, minor pillar edicts, major pillar edicts, and other edicts also there. Separate edicts. These are different types of edicts, and through these, by combining everything, we come to certain kind of idea that what these Ashoka edicts contain. Now, give the heading, the contents of Ashokan inscriptions. The contents of Ashokan inscriptions. Or Ashoka's Dhamma. Ashoka's Dhamma. Particularly in ethics also you can utilize these things. And if you observe pillar edicts, particularly pillar edicts are available near Gangetic Valley. Do you know what is the reason? These pillars are very, very heavy and they have to be carried from the manufacturing place to the destination. Chunar was the manufacturing place near Mirzapur. There it was manufacturing center and from there it was carried. But traveling is very difficult one unless you have good transportation system. Through rivers they carried, and wherever Gangetic river, Ganga river was there, through that it was carried. But in the distant places it is very difficult to carry. That's why pillar edicts we will find in Gangetic Valley only. But when it comes to rock edicts, we find everywhere. The contents of Ashoka's inscription are Ashoka's Dhamma. Write this. Ashoka's Dhamma was a set of ethical and moral principles. Ethical and moral principles propounded by the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka. It was not a new religion. It was not a new religion, but rather a code of conduct. Rather, a code of conduct and a philosophy of governance. Philosophy of governance that aimed to foster a just and harmonious society. A just and harmonious society. The key elements of his dharma are ahimsa, non-violence. Tolerance. And why he is particularly here? Brahmanism, sacrifices, violence, and Buddhist. When it comes to Buddhist, there were so many sects. Within Buddhism, Mahayana, Hinayana, that is about to become later. By this time already differences emerged. Theravada, Mahasangika, different sects are emerging, and by Kanishka time period, these sects become almost 18. By Kanishka time period, 18 different type of sects within Buddhism itself. And some of them became Mahayana, some of them became Hinayana. Broadly into two categories. That is how. And Jainism, again sects, Shvetambaras and Digambaras. So what does it mean? This means within Buddhists they are fighting, within Jaina they are fighting, and they are fighting against these and they are fighting against this. Now, likewise, within non-tribal society, this is happening, and within tribal society also, this violence, because it is their livelihood. For their livelihood also, hunting and gathering, it is very basic, primitive subsistence, and every one of us also came from that subsistence style only. And tribals also killing the animals for the food, and the so-called civilized people also killing the animals for the sake of sacrifices. So in both ways, violence is happening in this way also, in this way also. People are fighting against each other in the name of ideology. That is one. And as a result, when these disturbances comes, it affects the royal state authority. And the state Brahmanas, they wanted their way of life as the dharma of the constitution of the state. Buddhists wanted their way of life as the constitution of the state, and Jainism wanted to influence. So they also wanted to influence, they also wanted to influence, they also wanted to influence. Even today also, for example, Shia and Sunni. Different states follow different ideology, and in the name of that one, people are fighting against each other. And with respect to Indian subcontinent, communalism is one such an example. Even today itself, we are seeing the live examples of how people are fighting in the name of ideology. Same is the case those times also. And once there is disturbance, it creates a law and order issue. Today also, you are seeing law and order issue. And this law and order, once law and order problem becomes big, it affects industries, trade and commerce. And if you see wherever these conflicts are there in India also, for example, in certain pockets, Naxalism is there. Wherever Naxalism is there, the industrial growth will not take place. Employment will not take place. Industries will not grow. So the progress, the country will not progress. For example, Kashmir, terrorism was very major area, major problem. And even after independence, even after these many years also, still Kashmir was not able to come on par with the rest of India. Northeastern part of the India subcontinent also, same is the problem. Now you can see, at that time also, same is the case. That is why he wanted a kind of political tool as a solution where people live peacefully and state authority will not be questioned, law and order will prevail, country or empire's progress is possible. And moreover, his empire is very big. His empire is very big. If he wants to communicate from this area to this area, this area to this area, then you need law and order has to be prevailed throughout this path. If anywhere break comes, then entire path will not become safe, and this area will not communicate. And today also, we want gas reserves from Turkmenistan. Caspian Sea is one of the major gas reserves. And we are desperately in need of oil resources and gas resources. And we were proposing like a Tapi gas line. Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. But despite it was envisioned for decades ago, still we are not able to implement it.
India has come out of this Kapi one.
Yes, now why it was not able to possible? Afghanistan, Pakistan, law and order problem.
Afghanistan wanted India before, but Pakistan no wanted not.
So you see this, and we are not able to utilize, even though advantage, opportunity is there, we were not able to utilize this. That is why we had to route this channel through Iran. And that is how Chabahar port also, we are particularly, why we wanted Chabahar port is, and to get connectivity to Central Asia. And why, how you can see, if there is a law and order problem in between, now you cannot communicate at this point to that point. And his empire is so big that if he wants to communicate from capital to South India, now law and order has to be prevailed throughout this. Otherwise, his officers will not be safe, goods will not go, services will not go, then in between law and order problem creates, it destroys the entire economic setup of his empire. And if economy is not progressing, then obviously revenue will go down, taxes will not be collected, once again empire become weak and empire disintegration takes place. So this shows that how desperately he wants a new policy so that his empire becomes stable. Even today also, if question is why we need a constitution, same reason. If there is no a rule of law, then what will happen to India tomorrow? If there is no equality in the constitution itself, people will start fighting against each other. That is why he wanted this one. He promoted non-violence, then tolerance, so that every religion, every ideology is open to all. And he particularly says that if you do not respect the other religion, you are doing disservice not to the other religion, but your own religion. Likewise, he used to inculcate these values. Tolerance. Next one, compassion. Compassion, truthfulness, welfare measures, duties to people, like respecting elders, respecting the other religions. So he used to say that. Then opposition to rituals, opposition to rituals, appointment of officers called Dhamma, Mahamattas, conquest through Dhamma Vijaya. He wanted the drums of Dhamma, Dhamma Gosha rather than Beri Gosha. So he has chosen Dhamma instead of weapons to conquer. Next, duties to king. Duties to king and duties to officers also. Like they have to be very passionate. So in the modern sense, duties to people is fundamental duties, and duties to king nothing but DPSPs, directive principles of the state. So name is changing, but the character and spirit is same thing. And these are the same values even our constitution is also following. While we are preparing the constitution, we have some reference for, like Ashoka followed this one and we need to follow. But for Ashoka, he has to depend on whatever Brahmanism is saying, whatever Buddhism is saying, whatever Jainism is saying. And he has a reference in this format, and he converted these principles into state policy. And when it comes to Brahmanism, there are Upanishads. Upanishad inspired Buddhism also, Jainism also. And naturally, Upanishad principles, same principles Upanishads also talk, same principles Buddhism also talk, same principles Jainism also talk. So if question comes like how Ashoka's Dhamma inspired by Upanishads, same answer. How Buddhist principles are inspired by Upanishads, same answer. Because nowadays questions are going back to this particular thing, Upanishads. Already questions also came. So go back to Vedas. This theory is nowadays becoming more and more popular. That is why generally in medieval time period, Islamic architecture and Islamic culture related questions were coming earlier. But recently in GS itself they are asking like medieval temple architectures. There are very few examples, but that was the question. And in fact, they are asking like how these temples are reflecting the society also. And we need to connect how temples are reflecting the social norms of those times. You can simply see that Upanishads and Vedic traditions related questions, even to the later time period also, questions are trying to connect with this particular development. In that way, you try to analyze. Same is the case with this also. Ashoka's.
It's a bit long question.
Hmm.
Actually, sir, I read in a book that this Ashoka Dhamma's policy. Sir, is it so easy for the other kings to just to submit at the feet of Ashoka just through Dhamma Vijaya?
Is it? Once again, please.
Is it did other kings really submit themselves and paid their obedience?
Tributaries.
Tributaries or like in the form of taxes.
Yes.
Just through Dhamma Vijaya, not. But the kings did not reverse, did not take up arms, then just laid down their arms just because one people from faraway land.
Never. Whatever you are saying, suppose whatever you are asking the question, just have now constitution we have, very ideal constitution, very good principles are there. Now let us assume there is no army, there is no police, but you have the book with all good elements. Will Indians follow the law and order? Will they pay the taxes? Will they accept the state authority? Never. You have to use the force also, you have to use book also. It has to be both. That's why just by creating one principle like this, people will not follow readily. Even to follow this also, you need state machinery like army, you need state machinery like police. And this is one of the historical debates that because of this, he completely did not go for wars. That's why army became lack. Army was not able to become strong. That is why after Ashoka's demise, Mauryan Empire got disintegrated. There are different different interpretations of it. This was called Ashoka's pacifist policy. And he don't want to do wars, but soldiers always need wars. Then only they become more active, they become more efficient. But now because of Dhamma Vijaya, Dhamma conquest, he did not go for wars. As a result of it, military became weak and other rulers conquered Mauryan Empire. But Ashoka was a practical person. He is following for practical because this is the society he is living in and he wants to ensure law and order. His aim was to maintain this, and obviously he was practical in maintaining the army also. And in one of his edicts itself he says, you follow these Dhamma principles, otherwise you will face the consequences. So what does it mean? He is ready to use the force also if someone do not follow this royal order. So he did not disband any empire, disband army. And he was maintaining that also, but he was reluctant to use the force as long as if subjects are following peaceful methods. Capital punishment was there. If he is so pacifist, then he should become so human that there should be no punishment at all. Slaves in the agriculture farms. So he was very practical. Like Buddha, he is very practical. Mardhamana Mahavira, they were all very practical. That's why their ideals are still surviving. If you are so ideal, then those principles will not survive. People will not follow in larger numbers. Only when you are practical, people will follow larger numbers. Then only it will survive for so many centuries. That is why Buddhist and Jainism, they did not really attack the Varna system. If they are so against Brahmanical, Varna is one of the creation of Brahmanism, but still they did not completely destroy Varna system. That is why that because it is a practical. Even in modern times, Ambedkar, he tried very hard to annihilate the caste system. But after 60, 70 years also, still these caste traditions are still prevalent because they are very, very ingrained in the minds of the people. It takes very long time to go. That's why finally Ambedkar also, he converted to Buddhism. And after Ambedkar, no one has really taken the tradition to completely annihilate the caste system. Because it's a practical, there is a practical issue. It is very, politics also there. Again, politics also is a part of practicals only. So it goes, it is a very, very slow process if some change comes in the society. That is why both Buddhist and Jainism, they never completely tried for annihilation of Varna system, but rather they want to bring that liberal element in the Varna system. So it only they were interpreting like it is part of profession, not by birth. So actually it was, and that is what exactly followed in early Vedic time period also. That is why people accepted this liberal view rather than completely destroying it, because as part of profession, it is very natural development. Different professions emerge in different points of time. That is why they took this liberal interpretation of Varna system rather than completely removing it. And later, when it comes to Buddhism, later when it comes to Bhakti tradition also, again, same is the issue. They did not attack, they did not want to remove the Varna system or the caste system or Jati. Rather, they wanted the religious elements open to everyone. Temple should be open to everyone. Vedas should be open to everyone. Purana should be open to everyone. All knowledge should not be in the hands of only one particular community. It should be open to everyone. That way they wanted. Now, today also, schools are open to everyone. Public roads are everyone. Cinema halls are open to everyone. No one is restricted based on Varna system. No one is restricted based on the caste system. This is what modern constitution. Thus, in those times, Buddhism, Jainism principles in a similar way they were following. That is why they were accepted by the people a lot. When it comes to state policy, he followed this way. It appealed to many people. For some time, he could maintain law and order peacefully.
Why did Ashoka maintain that Buddhism was the state religion? Why did he name Buddhism as the state religion?
Why did?
Ashoka made Buddhism as the state religion, and he also declared in order that everyone should follow Buddhism, and Brahmanism and Jainism should not be followed. In fact, he also in a edict, it was also found like some James edict and books that he had created a large number of Ajivikas from Bengal, and also he had ordered the mass exodus of Jainism, and he stopped till one of his brothers' head was found, one of his head was brought to him. Why did he kill the Ajivakas? Because the Ajivakas had drawn a figure in which the Buddhist Lord Buddha was kneeling before Mahavira. Then why did he goes on to
Actually, I did not read these things. He did not declare Buddhism as the state religion. He personally, he tried to maintain these two things very clear. State open to all, but his at personal level, he was a follower of Buddhism. At personal level, he was Buddhist monk, but when it comes to state, he did not impose his personal ideas onto everyone. And he was open to all, and he told that everyone should respect every other religion also.
They were locked in the house and they were gone. And also when Ashoka ordered that the Acharyas should be killed, and he only stopped because one of his brothers who had followed the Ashoka sect, that is Jain sect, and his head was brought in front of him, and so he realized that what he had done is wrong, and after that he stopped him.
Okay.
Because his only brother sir, who had been spared in the Kalinga war also. His name I can't forget it. His only
Okay.
brother sir,
I don't know about this particular story. Then why he constructed Barabar caves for Ajivaka sect? Ashoka created Barabar caves for Ajivika Singh. So that's why, as a historian, we need to differentiate what is the legend. Because in Buddhist tradition, it is said that 99 brothers of Ashoka were killed by Ashoka. Before only one person was left. It is like there were total 101 children for Bindusara. That story says there were 101 children total. Ashoka versus 100 people. And this 100, one person supported Ashoka, 99 opposed him. That's why he killed 99. He left one person. So this is the story from Buddhist tradition only. But how far is it true? How do we know? And they wanted, we don't know. Probably Buddhist wanted to say that in the initial life he was very, very cruel. After accepting Buddhism, he became so peaceful. Chanda Ashoka, because of this activity.
So, sir, in one of the major documents in Afghanistan, while I was in Afghanistan, it was also found that he had converted to Buddhism 3 years before Kalinga War. It has been found now that in the long
Okay, okay.
3 years before Kalinga, he had also spent his life as a monk in monasteries. So after that, he conducted Kalinga War.
So after he became monk, he conducted the war.
Yes,
According to this inscription.
3 years after. So, sir, it does not match with Ashoka's policy.
So when new evidence comes, this interpretation also will change. That's why at this point of time, this is Buddhist legend. So whatever you are saying related to Ajivaka might be Ajivaka legend. Ajivaka text, but we don't know really what is there. So from the inscriptions, we can come to the conclusion that this is the, and even the dates also problematic when it comes to up to Mauryan. Not only Mauryan, up to ancient time period, this is the problematic. Which happened, which and which later. That is why historians are very struggling very hard to corroborate with Indian text also, foreign text also. They follow different calendar and we follow. Shaka era and Kushana era also came later. But at this point there is no Shaka era, there is no Kushana era. That is why it's very difficult to reconstruct our history past. These are the elements. He left Tissa. Yes, Sanju. The person name Tissa. He was the last person.
Actually, sir, this story also collaborates with Mahabharata also because only one Kaurava brother did not fight against the Pandavas. They fought with Pandava. His name was
Okay, in Kauravas. Okay.
In many of the historians, like Ramana Thappa, says that in her historian, she wrote a book. She wrote a famous book wrote that Ashoka actually is Yudhishthir. The Upinder Singh is Ashoka. So Ashoka is equal to Yudhishthir. It's just been transformed from different areas and ideology.
Okay. So that is how, in different interpretation, different how you take the references. This is Ashoka's Dhamma.
Some of the historians, that is right-wing historians, we should be middle people. Some right-wing historians and some scholars, they tell that it has been propagated by the leftist and communist historians. This theory that Ashoka was fought in Kalinga, saw the horrors of the battle, was so
Remorse.
and he turned to Buddhism, which actually showed that Hinduism is a very violent religion and Buddhism is a very peaceful religion. And the communist and Hinduism, there's a struggle in India, as we all know.
Okay.
So, many of the historians say like that. Like Anand Ranganathan and we have Sampath, something, Vikram Sampath, all these people.
So different historians follow different approach. It's a different way of looking at our own past. And we have to take the middle path. and which is useful for progress of the present generation.
But in exam English comes postulated.
Which one?
In exam, if I about Ashoka Dhamma, the Ashoka Dhamma came after Kalinga War. That is confirmed. So what postulated, right? That he converted into Buddhism after Kalinga, or he converted 3 years before he converted into Buddhism. Which
No, you don't write any number specifically. After Kalinga War, so whatever we are having the references, after Kalinga War, after seeing the violence, and he don't want to do the similar type of war to conquer the people, and he has chosen Dhamma, Dhamma Gosha rather than Beri Gosha. With that gradually, and these principles also did not evolve in a single year. It's a very, very gradual process. And according to whatever you are saying, when it comes to 272, Bindusara died, and for 4 years there was civil war. We don't know. Ashoka came, he became the emperor, and in the 7th year, 261, Kalinga war. Then he don't want to do wars anymore, and he want to conquer people with peaceful means. And thereafter, he followed Dhamma, but it is not a single day development. Initially, he gave minor rocks edicts, and there are very few. 3 edicts are there. So this is in the formative stage. And even we don't know that in which year he gave which edicts also. And later he gave major rock edicts. And later pillar edicts. Because pillar edicts, why we are saying pillar edicts came? It requires special manufacturing. Likewise, it's a continuous process. It is like constitution did not, he did not write constitution in single day. It's an evolution. Even British Constitution, do you think there is a British Constitution book? There is no book called British Constitution. It's only their conventions, the past conventions and the past traditions combinedly, completely, they used to interpret that they call British Constitution. It's not like Indian Constitution, it was written in single book. From Magna Carta time period onwards, they used to follow their principles. So over a period of time, so many centuries. Likewise, his ideology is also transforming. And in between, even this also problematic. In which year he conducted 250 or 245? Third Buddhist Council. You can see this, Kalinga War. Then he is moving towards in a different direction. Buddhist Council. This is to bring, again, same, to bring to the fold that all Buddhist people should not fight and they should follow similar path. And thereafter, these inscriptions. Lord Buddha, 483 BC, Buddha died. And this is the year first Buddhist Council. And after 100 years, 383 BC, second Buddhist Council. And in 283, they did not conduct any third Buddhist Council. They were fighting. That's why after 250, third Buddhist Council.
it has been said that Kalinga was just like a misconception because in that turmoil period of civil war, Kalinga decided to be independent. They told that we are a different ruler, we are an independent kingdom now. That's why Ashoka was more infuriated, and he rushed into Kalinga and defeated the local chiefs. And
Kalinga was conquered by Nandas. Mahapadmananda conquered, and Mahapadmananda has taken one Jaina ideal also to Magad from Kalinga. That is what Karavela used to proudly say, that I conquered Magadha and brought back the Jaina ideal. Whatever accounts related to Kalinga, we get some more details about Kalinga in 1st century AD when Karavela comes. And during Ashoka time period, this war took place, whatever you are saying, that when Nandas conquered it, Kalinga was part of Magad Empire. But later they assumed sovereignty and they were behaving independently. Once again, Ashoka wanted to conquer it. And moreover, it is also having the practical and also the strategic. Now Mauryan Empire reached south also. Kalinga is this location. Now if Pataliputra, the capital, wants to communicate with the South India, then it has to go through this. Or it has to go through sea route. And even sea route is also not safe if these people attack the ships. To communicate with this, and again, south is very, very important one because it is having the minerals like gold. If this becomes sovereign, and next gradually this area also will break away. Now in present context, if Siliguri corridor is broken, what happens to northeastern part for our India? And this is what Chinese designs. That is why this is very, very sensitive. India is very, very particular about this particular area. Because if it is broken, if it come under threat, then our entire northeastern part is India under threat. That is why we want to safeguard this at any cost. And you imagine that if this becomes independent, obviously this also will become independent. That's what exactly happened after Mauryans. Here Satavahanas emerged, here Karavala emerged. Every part became independent countries after, independent kingdoms after Mauryans. That is why he wanted to conquer this area also. That is why it's all about the interpretation, how you say. Economically, it has an important value. Strategically, it is very important. And also, he wanted to follow that universal monarch. Initially, he might be very ambitious and he wanted to conquer every part of Indian territory so that he rule as a Chakravartin. Every king wants to imperialist follow policies of those times. And after conquering, that is what history, we don't know person changes at what point of time. So there is a possibility that after winning Kalinga war, after killing 100,000 people, that 1 lakh people, who knows, some kings might take more pride also that he killed these many people and he conquered this and he wanted to conquer more territory also. Now at this point of time, entire India is under his control. So many resources, every part of India is paying taxes to him. Now he can also go like Alexander, world conquest. Now this much area under him, now he can go for world conquest also. Now he can conquer West Asia also. But he did not go. That is what it made a difference in Ashoka's life. When Alexander became great because of his military conquest, Ashoka also became great not because of his military conquest but because of his Dhamma. So he has shown the path. You can become great by not following the war also. Alexander, the Western European countries praise Alexander because he is great. What he has done? Only conquered. And he did not really rule. And even he did not reach his hometown also. He don't have time to consolidate. He did not rule at all. He only conquered completely. But the European historians, they were very much took the pride in conquering the territories. That's why they made Alexander great. That is why UPSC, there is, in 33 age only, he died. That is why UPSC has already asked one question. The interpretation of Alexander the Great, it has to be reinterpreted. Is he really great? Apart from conquering the territories, what else he has done in consolidation? Immediately after the death of Alexander, his empire again broken into 4 parts. So he has the example of Alexander immediately before him, not like this anyone. But he did not take the inspiration from Alexander, rather he took the inspiration in a different way. That is why he created history in a different way completely. And this is becoming a role model even today also for our life existence.
But then at last I got a point in mind that that the difference between the Western and us is that while Ashoka had created so much remorse that he left the battles, he did not fight any other single war. But at the same time, the cultured British General Dyer had killed people and also take their pride in it. So that's the difference. I can mention in the exam also.
Yes, you can. So the peaceful twist that became very, very unique to our Indian subcontinent. That is why whoever comes later, it is the nature of this subcontinent itself. Whoever may come here, but they follow the open approach religious. Some people might be bigots, religious bigots, but the people who come after him might be so liberal that they allow every religion and every sect.
The Delhi Sultanate, most of them are big religious because, but after that Mughals, some were religious because like Aurangzeb and all, but
And even in Delhi Sultanate also, for example, Alauddin Khilji, he did not listen to ulemas, and he said, whatever state requires, I will give the orders. You don't. You better stay with your religion. Gradually, the state monarchs, they tried to differentiate what the state requirement, what the religious requirement. When state comes, it means not only one particular religion, every religion is important.
it's also a difference, start difference between the Western kingdoms and Eastern kingdoms. That is the Western kingdoms
Definitely.
always been dominated by popes, always the order of popes. Like they want to fight a battle, they want to show the superiority, always they have to take the help from pope. But we, the Christian, the Muslims, they do not take help from either from ulemas or
Exactly. The modern terminology is secularism. That's why the Western blueprint of secularism will not apply to India. Their church was so dominant, it used to interfere in state politics so dominantly. That is why the people of Western European countries so harassed by the Pope or the institution of the church. And that's why they wanted complete difference or complete separation of the church and state. But when it comes to India, it is like state and religion so intermixed, but still we don't know that we were following secular principles. We were following secularism. Exact blueprint will not apply. That is why one question was also asked in GS, how France secularism is different from India's secularism.
France does not entertain any religion. Doesn't entertain any, but
So why they go to that kind of extreme? That means church harassed them so much that they don't want any kind of interference of the church in the state.
we have seen what the Catholic churches did to them during the French Revolution. Then they
Catholics and Protestants continuously fighting, and in crusades, Islam and Christianity, they were fighting. And whoever says against the God, whoever says against the church, they were burnt at the stake. That is why they completely wanted separation. But when it comes to here, people, monarchs are taking the inspiration from same religion and they were following the open approach, secular approach.
that the church has taken out a book which is known as the Ujas Manual. It is a manual for the clergies and the bishops to hunt and kill the so-called witches,
Witch hunting?
witch and fifteen women.
Yes.
Like different ways that how can like if she tells about this, burn her. If she tells about this, then drown her. Like this.
So that was the kind of interference. Everywhere church was interfering. That's why the Western secularism is different, India's secularism is a different one. Now you see this, same Brahmanical ideology, same Upanishad, same Buddhist, same Jainism. Religion are also there. At the same time, monarchs have taken the good elements of it and they are following, approaching to the state also. This is what Dhamma. Now we will go for art and architecture. We won't get much at this point of time. Few things only, but still they are important. First one, palaces. Palaces. Megasthenes states that the Mauryan palace at Pataliputra was so splendid as that in the capital of Iran. Archaeology gave the evidence of Mauryan palace at Kumrahar. Probably this Kumrahar palace is what Megasthenes is talking about. Kumrahar. It's near Patna only. Suburb of Patna.
In the capital, if it is Pataliputra, why did the Mauryans build any palaces over there? Because king should live in a capital. Why did he choose and to stay away from Pataliputra?
No, it is the expansion of Pataliputra. You have to think in this way. Kumrahar is the 3rd century BC Patna. Later, after 4th century, it expanded. Today, in 21st century, it expanded. Delhi, for example, there are so many capitals within Delhi. Mehrauli, where Qutub Minar was there, that was the initial Delhi. Delhi Sultanate. Later, when Alauddin Khilji came, Siri Fort he built. When Tughlaqs came, Tughlaqabad came. Then when Mughals came, Shahjahanabad came. And when British came, Raisina Hills. And today you Delhi, you see. And UP is also included and Haryana also included. It's growing. In the beginning stage that was. So probably this Kumrahar is the place, initial Patna, later extended to today's level. Kumrahar. Palace. Next one, pillars. Pillars. Kumrahar Palace was initially constructed with wooden pillars. Later, Ashoka used stone pillars. Palaces, pillars, Kumrahar wooden pillar, later stone pillars. Next, Ashoka manufactured pillars at Chunar. And used for royal inscriptions. Next, rock cut caves. Mauryans were pioneers. In carving out caves. For monks. Ashoka constructed Barabar caves. His grandson Dasharatha constructed caves at Nagarjuni Hills. For Ajivaka monks. Ajivika monks. Next, sculpture. Sculpture. Ashokan pillar capitals like lion, bull, horse, and Dhauli elephant sculpture belongs to Mauryan period. In Dhauli, you will find in a rock like as if elephant is walking.
During which period it was?
In
Holy elephant was during which period?
that we don't know exactly, but it is giving during Mauryan time period only. Next one, Didaraganj Ekshini. Didarganj Ekshini. Didarganj is located in near Patna only. Ekshini. Now you can have this. Ekshini is tribal ideas. Ekshinis are the spirits on the plants, trees, and in lakes. Ekshini. And these are tribal ideas. Later, these tribal ideas were integrated very freely in Buddhism, Jainism, and Brahmanical tradition. Didarganj Ekshini is a famous artwork of Mauryan time period.
So the actions played a very big role in Satish places, in Satish because it was believed that if you touch the action, because woman, it was related to fertility, that women bore good sons and then crops would grow well. The actions played a very
Wealth creation, fertility, they became part of both Buddhist tradition, Jainism tradition also, and even in Mahabharata also, there is one dialogue between the dialogues between Yudhishthir and Ekshini, Eksha Prashna. So in Brahmanical literature also, these elements were incorporated.
Buddhism and Jainism like part of like they came inspired from
Upanishadic thought, and once they became separate religious thoughts and they were competing, like they were all like acting like a missionaries. And whenever they go to new areas and they were competing for the new followers. And if you want to follow new followers, then you have to give to them that the chief was given warrior status and their ideals were given the religious status in Brahmanical tradition. In Buddhist tradition also, their ideas were taken. So likewise, it's a continuous interaction between Buddhist world, non-Buddhist world, Brahmanical and non-Brahmanical world.
religion, the competition is who came first and who came second. So like some tales that like now the recent controversy is that the Buddhist came before Hinduism. Hinduism says that you came the Amar Kors of Hindu we didn't intended in your script, so you came after us. So now this is going on, and somewhere else, one Islam propaganda says that Islam is came from
So every religion is competing for the followers, and in that process, that is why, in the name of religion, every religion is born to propagate the peace in the society. Whenever there is violence in the society, a new religion emerged to solve this problem, to solve the violence. But unfortunately, in our human history, the same religion became the cause of so much violence.
feed the people their religion, then hunger will be gone.
So this is how it happens. Sculpture, rocket caves, Didarganj, Ekshini, and Dhauli elephant. These are some of the developments in Mauryan time period. Now, disintegration of Mauryan Empire. And historians did not have no single idea about this. There are so many ideas given by different interpretations by different historians. First one, Brahmanical reaction. Brahmanical reaction. The anti-sacrifice attitude, the anti-sacrifice attitude of the Mauryans is considered as one of the reason for Brahmanical reactions. And this led to the downfall of Mauryan Empire. Huh. Next point. Haraprasad Shastri, scholar, suggested that Pushyamitra Shunga, not Gupta. This name comes in different place. In Girnar inscription, Pushyagupta, who constructed Sudarshana Lake. Pushyamitra Shungas coup. Pushyamitra Shungas coup represented Brahmanical revolution. So remember one person name, one scholar name. He said, Ashoka banned animal sacrifices. This affected the livelihood of Brahmins. The appointment of Dhamma Mahamattas, the appointment of Dhamma Mahamattas may have affected the Brahmanas' prestige. Brahmanas' prestige as custodians of social morality. So, animal sacrifice affected the livelihood. When it comes to Dhamma Mahamattas, now in society, these new officials are considered as the guardians of Dhamma. But up to this point of time, whatever Brahmanas saying, they are always seen as at a very high esteem. That whatever they are saying, that they used to talk about Vedas, Upanishads, Vedic thought, and it appears like whatever Brahmanas are saying, that is the true Dharma, Varnashrama Dharma. But now new officials, it affected the Brahmanas' prestige also. And gradually this resentment accumulated and it came in the form of Pushyamitra Shunga's coup. When last Mauryan ruler Brihadrada, he was visiting the military camp and he was inspecting the army soldiers, and when he was inspecting Pushyamitra Shunga, he killed him. And despite he killed, there was no revolt against Pushyamitra Shunga. He killed in front of Pushyamitra Shunga killed the emperor Brihadrada. He was the last Mughal emperor. So despite he killed his own king, still there was no revolt against, or no one killed Pushyamitra Shunga. So that means support he got, that shows there was resentment. That is why it is considered as the reason for Mauryan's decline. Okay, so this is one theory, okay, Brahmanical reaction.
So one thing I'm not getting, so animal sacrifice was banned, but sir, it has been documented that two peacocks and one deer used to be cooked every day in the royal.
Yeah, now we are writing that counter. This is the argument. Now we have to say the counter, critical analysis. You give the heading, critical analysis. So there are various theories. This is the first one. Like that we will get other also. Critical analysis of this theory. Ashoka, critical analysis. Ashoka never undermined the ideals of Brahmanas and in fact he commanded people to respect both Brahmanas and Shramanas. Unorthodox people called Shramanas. Both Brahmanas and Shramanas. Moreover, public offices are open for every religion. Public offices are open for every religion. Full stop. Had Mauryans been opponents of Brahmanas, how could a Brahmana, Pushyamitra Shunga, could become could become commander-in-chief of Mauryan army. Commander-in-chief of army. Therefore, it is quite evident. Therefore, it is quite evident that the end of Mauryan dynasty, was not the result of Brahmanical reaction, and reasons to be found elsewhere. So this is about Brahmanical reaction. Now one by one, different historians interpret it different way. Tomorrow we will continue. Okay? And tomorrow we will finish and we will start post-Mauryan period also. Sanju and Kanchan, clear? Tomorrow we will continue the rest of the theories and we will find the real reasons. All right? Thank you. Tomorrow we will meet.